Hey friends, if you want to clean up your engine bay and simplify your pulley system, you're in the right place. Today I'll walk you through installing a serpentine drive conversion kit. So let's get started.
Okay, I'm going to install the March Performance Ultra Style Serpentine drive on this Blueprint 383. I'm putting part of it on permanently and part I will remove before I install the engine. But I wanted to make a video showing a complete assembly. The first thing that happens, I'm going to install 4 of these double threaded studs on either side of the water pump mount. Then I'll use some of the blue Loctite to secure the threads. It doesn't matter which end you thread in here. I've measured the threads and they're the same on both ends. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put on our gaskets. And now I'm going to slide the water pump on over the 4 mounting studs. Now I'll add some anti-seize on the threads of the mounting studs to prevent seizing of the stainless steel spacers. The spacers on the passenger side are about 1/10 of an inch longer than the driver's side, so you'll want to make sure you identify those correctly. Now I'm installing the alternator and AC bracket to the 2 stainless spacers on the passenger side with socket head cap screws. For now, these will just be tightened hand tight until after I install the alternator and the AC compressor. Now I'll mount a GM 10SI alternator onto the bracket. I'm going to mount the alternator with a 6-inch socket head cap screw. I'll run the screw through the bracket, the alternator ear, a long spacer, followed by an AC support bracket, and then a short spacer before tightening it into the cylinder head. I'm going to leave it slightly loose until the AC has been installed. You may have noticed I had the AC support bracket on upside down, but I corrected that off camera. With the alternator resting on padding, I'll install the lower bracket for the alternator with a socket head cap screw and a spacer. Now I'm installing the rear alternator support bracket to the back side of the alternator using a 7/8 inch socket head cap screw through the countersink on the bracket. It may take you a minute or two to align it, but it goes in fairly easy. I'll snug these down hand tight using a hex head adapter. Using 2 socket head screws, I'll install the Sandin 7176 AC compressor to the back side of the main bracket. Again, I'm only making these hand tight on both of the screws. Next, I'll use a 2-inch hex bolt to secure the rear support bracket to the rear compressor ear with washers and a lock nut. Now that I've completed this step, I can tighten all of the AC bracket bolts. With installation complete, you can now go back and tighten all your socket head cap screws. The manufacturer recommends 10 to 12 foot-pounds. If you have a nut and bolt thread gauge like this one, you may want to use it. I know mine came in really handy. Place a small spacer in the upper right mounting hole of the power steering pump. Then in the lower left mounting hole, use a slightly larger spacer and secure the power steering bracket to the pump using two 1 1/4 inch socket head cap screws and secure them tightly. Now, mount the bracket and the pump to the stainless spacers on the driver's side of the water pump using two socket head cap screws. Again, I left them a little loose for maneuver. Snug the screws down, but don't fully tighten just yet. I'll now attach the slotted side of the power steering rear support to the outer head bolt using a washer and a hex bolt. It's a little bit tight for fingers in here, but it goes in fairly easy. Now on the bottom side of the bracket, I'll use a spacer and secure it with a 1 1/2 inch socket head cap screw. Now tighten down both the bolt and the screw. The head of the bolt should be in countersink of the bracket. I'm now installing the water pump pulley. I had to use some screws that were about a 1/4 inch shorter than those that were supplied because I didn't have the nose cover for the pulley. Even though they weren't part of my original kit, I decided to order the nose covers and pulley covers after the fact to add a cleaner look. I'll install those once the engine is inside the engine bay. To install my power steering pulley, the kit uses a keyway pulley which is installed by lining up the pulley with the key on the shaft and then sliding the pulley on. I found out by trial and error that if I didn't put the key at the 12 o'clock position, it would continuously fall out. Now retain the pulley with the supplied nut and secure it tight. To install the crank pulley, remove the bolt out of the harmonic balancer using an impact tool. To mount the pulley, use 3 1-inch socket head cap screws and anti-seize to tighten the pulley on to the harmonic balancer. Make it finger tight at this point. The screws are stainless steel and the crank is cast iron. The anti-seize will let you remove the screws later if you need to. Now I'll torque the bolt of the harmonic balancer to 60 foot-pounds. Now I can go back and tighten the socket head cap screws. Now I'll install the spring tensioner to the alternator bracket with the supplied hardware. There are 3 positions the tensioner can be installed in. For the recommended belt, install the tensioner first in the middle position. Place the belt over the tensioner with the grooves facing up. Now install the tensioner, and if you forget the belt like I did here, you'll be taking it back off to reinstall it. Hey, what do you know? The serpentine belt has magically reappeared. With the tensioner fully tightened and secure, it's time to start routing the belt. Be sure to follow your belt routing instructions. For my application, belt routing is basically around the AC compressor and over the alternator, then under the water pump and over the power steering pump pulley and under the crank pulley. Using a 1/2-inch wrench, relax the tensioner so the belt routing can be completed. Before releasing, check to confirm the belt is aligned in the pulleys. And that's it. Your installation is now complete. This mid-mount serpentine drive from March Performance is clean and compact. And as a conversion kit, it's budget friendly too. Thanks for watching.